Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each week, we will give you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicte, and I am feeling sore.
And I'm Benedict. Today is September 19th. This is episode number 189, and I'm feeling determined. Why are you feeling sore?
I just did 5 writing lessons in one weekend, and then I went to ballet class yesterday. But I don't think the ballet class is the culprit of this. It's the 5 writing lessons. But luckily for me, I have learned since I fell off in February to be very mindful of how tired I am on the Sunday and just not push it. So I did very good because I have gotten stronger. I've been doing strength. So on Saturday, I got to do field jumping. I did 3 in a row, or 3 obstacles in a row at the most. And then on Sunday, I just did like 1 jump and I realized my balance was not there. And I was like, yes, no more. And I'm very proud of that instead of pushing, because then I could have fallen off again like I did that in February, because that was what happened. But it's just so much fun and you learn so much. But the 5th lesson, or maybe by the 4.5 lesson, I have nothing left. And I still have nothing left.
Takes a while to recover, I guess.
Takes a while to recover, absolutely.
But at least no concussion this time, so that's good.
Yes, no concussion. Because that's hung around longer than I liked. I can still notice that I have issues being on a screen for too long, which
to this day.
Yes, which could be a blessing because then you get off, but also some days I just want to get a lot of done. I'm that kind of person who likes to just work nothing one day and then like a lot the next day, but that is not working because I have like a cap on how many hours I feel like I can, or my brain can handle watching a screen. So yeah, do not fall off horses after 40, people. It's like it's not recommended. Not recommended.
Probably even before 40, it's not recommended. But it doesn't help, I guess.
But I'm happy I still can do it, and I'm happy that I've finally learned to just be like, I don't have to impress anyone. I'll just like listen to my body and do what I can do. And that's part of this whole journey of slow and steady and just keep on going and not just like rushing and doing too much and then do nothing. I still have trouble with it, but I'm getting better. But why are you so determined, Benedict?
I am very determined because, stuff's going well, at least on the product side of things. We're currently in the process of migrating to a new email service provider. It's funny, like we're an email service provider of sorts, but our underlying sending infrastructure is moving from one provider to a new one. And I'm super excited about it because we had some delivery issues with like the previous provider, which isn't necessarily the provider's fault, but the way we were using them. Basically, we use their shared IP pool a lot, where a lot of other people are sending other stuff as well, and not all of it is good. And now with this new provider, for one, I feel like they're a little bit more like, I don't know, like niche is maybe not the right term, but like getting set up with them is a lot more effort than that other provider we were using before. And we're also getting our own set of dedicated IP addresses, and they manage them for us. And overall, yeah, like the platform's really cool. Suits our needs pretty well, and it's already in an impressive shape and form, but their roadmap is super exciting in what they are providing in the future or planning to build. That's more catering to the stuff we need as like an email marketing automation tool on top of something else, and that's very exciting. And we started migrating the first couple of accounts over last week, and I'm determined to do a lot more this week. Yeah, I'm also using this opportunity to improve a little bit how we implement the connections to those providers. In theory, we can switch between them almost transparently. And yeah, I'm reworking that a little bit so code is a little bit cleaner. I made some decisions 4 or 5 years ago when I first built this that I don't fully understand anymore. Like, yeah, and also I guess some of my assumptions were wrong back then. For example, I think one of the assumptions I built into this was that one account is always only set up on one of those providers. Which, if you think about it, there's no reason why they shouldn't be set up on all of them. And like, you could, in theory, use 2 providers to send emails for that account at the same time. So, yeah, I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense the way it was built. And now I'm cleaning that up a little bit, re-architecting things and stuff like that. And that's, I mean, you know me, that's always stuff I enjoy. Refactoring and cleaning up code, that's my jam, I guess. So yeah, determined to
You
make
get
some
to
good
delete
progress in this. Yes, not as much because like the functionality stays the same and like it's not really going away, but the interface, like we have a class in there that's called a provider that has a couple of methods that the rest of the system talks to, and they use the same interface. So the rest of the system doesn't know which provider it's using. And while the code doesn't really decrease, the interface got a lot smaller. So instead of
Nice.
6 methods, everything was calling. I think it's down to 2. No, it's down to 3 by now. So it's not exactly deleting code, but making the interface smaller and simpler. So same goal, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's the one thing. One cool thing we did with this new provider is previously we were sending stuff via HTTP. So emails would be basically rendered into JSON and then sent as an HTTP request to the provider we were using. And it always annoyed me that we were like, for every single request, opening a new TCP connection, doing the HTTP stuff, waiting for the reply, closing the connection, and then a millisecond later for the second message, opening a connection, sending the HTTP stuff, waiting for the response, closing the connection.
Because you're usually sending a lot of messages at one time.
Yes.
Like when a campaign goes out, it goes out often to everyone.
Exactly. Sometimes we send several thousand of messages in a relatively short amount of time. And that overhead, I mean, it has never really caused problems in that sense, like that it was too slow or stuff like that, or that we got blocked. But it always felt inefficient to me. So with this new provider, for one, we are using their SMTP endpoint, so it's not HTTP anymore. So, but like native email messaging protocol. And we also implemented a connection pooling system on top of that. So instead of like opening and closing the connections, we open the connection once, or actually open a couple of connections in parallel, and then they get reused every time we send a new message. And that feels really nice. Just knowing that it's a lot more efficient and not doing all of this unnecessary handshake stuff anymore. So yeah, that was fun to build.
And it feels like one of those things that could become an issue when you're getting even larger lists.
True,
larger
true.
clients. It's something that you didn't need in the beginning, but that
we still don't need, if you're honest. But
no, but you're closer to being somewhere where this could become an issue, and when you're working on that code, you could fix it.
Yes, exactly. It was a good opportunity to. We're building this new code anyways, and it wasn't that much effort to take that extra step and make it use a connection pool. So yeah, that was a fun experience. Yeah. And then on the front end side of things, the other reason why I'm determined is our visual workflow builder is making good progress. Um, we ironed out a couple of kinks in the rendering. I just sent a tweet earlier of one of the issues we were facing where, for example, conditions suddenly had 3 branches. At least it looked like they had 3 branches. So true, false, and something in the middle.
Well, that was the alignment line, wasn't it?
Yes, it was definitely the alignment line. And in the end, what it boiled down to was a rendering ordering thing. So it wasn't the line didn't belong to the condition, but to 2 other nodes, totally unrelated, and but it got rendered in the
Oh.
wrong order. So a node at the bottom got connected to a node at the tops and stuff like that. So there was a line going through the entire thing, basically. Anyways, too
It's a
much
feature,
detail.
not a bug.
It took a while to figure this one out. I hope we have a solution now, but we've been at the place where we thought we had a solution for a couple of times now. But yeah, we'll see. So far, I'm confident, but I've been confident a couple of times before. So we'll see. Anyways, why I'm determined is that the goal for this week is to finish up the workflows so that we can create simple workflows in the UI, set everything up like conditions, delays, messages, and then publish the workflow and actually run it. So basically, the full stack mini version of what we're going to build, we want to have done by the end of the week, and it's looking good. And I'm really excited about it because now that we're at this stage, or hopefully soon at this stage, we can, for one, start improving things and like tweaking and improving the styling, but also adding a lot of more new features, like in terms of like new functionality that you can do. Because right now, as I said, delays, sending messages, and splits like true false condition checks. But we have a long list of other things we want to do, and it's finally time that we can implement them, given we get the stuff done. But as I said, I'm determined and confident that we'll make it.
You seem like you're like positive, because I feel like I've been working on, because I mentioned last time, the Framer Outseta integration. And I don't know if it was last time or if it was a little bit after that where I was like, this is never going to work. Like, this is never going to, I'm never going to make it happen. And you just feel like stupid and you're like just frustrated and that kind of like, what's it called? Despair, Valley of Despair or whatever. Yeah. And then we were having that set at all hands yesterday, and like one of the guys were like saying like he was working on something and he'd been going into it and just feeling like, oh wow, this is gonna be so good. This refactor is just gonna solve like these things. And then he was like, I'm now in the pit of despair, whatever he said. And then we all laughed because it's like you're there so often, I feel, as a developer, and then you kind of and when I think a shift happens when you know that like this is a part of the process.
Yes.
You're going to be there, and then not for everything but for a lot of things, and then you're going to slowly like dig your way out, and then suddenly it goes like fast again, or like it clears up again. But it's just funny like how we all, and it feels so real when you're there. You're like, this, it's absolutely never going to happen. I should just give up. I should never develop anything again. And then suddenly you're like, oh,
so true. I feel like we had a one-on-one meeting with Leo, the front-end developers doing most of the work on the UI side of things on this. And we were talking a little bit about this. We didn't explicitly talk about the pit of despair, but we noticed that for this one, we did an initial experiment. Like, instead of building like a workflow builder type of thing inside our application, we basically, well, it was still sort of in our application, but it wasn't fully integrated. It was like more like a prototype / experiment to figure out a couple of things, how we would approach them. And then only afterwards try to implement the same thing or the same ideas, but within the constraint of our existing application.
Mm-hmm.
And in the conversation yesterday, it became very apparent that we would have probably been in more of a valley of despair, or like have more problems if we try to do both things at the same time, like figure out like how this is going to work on an isolated level, plus all the problems that come from integrating with an existing application. That would have probably thrown us off way too much and like caused way more issues. But by being very deliberate about like learning how to do this in theory and then doing this inside the real thing, that I think helped a lot to smooth out the process. And because like he at the beginning, before we did the experiment, he was like, I've got no idea how we're ever going to build this. And then after the experiment, it was like, okay, I think we have an idea. And then sure, we're still running into small problems here and there, but now it's more manageable because we know that the basics and like the foundations are there and they're working and they're not going away, and everything else is just a little bit of like small problems here and there that we have to fix. But the overall architecture is good enough to just run with it.
Because I gotta say, looking at what you're building, I'm like, I have no idea how I would start.
It's not that like once you figure it out, it's not that complicated.
Probably, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I've never tackled anything similar where it's that interactive. Like, I haven't worked. I mean, people make amazing games. Like, you could do amazing things with code, but I haven't done anything that interactive. So it would have been, a lot of experimentation, learning or figuring out how to do it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah. I'd love to just do a deep dive into the details how we do it, but I think that's probably out of scope for this one.
Maybe do a talk. I loved your talk on, what was it, aggregating analytics?
Yeah, accounting and reporting and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes. So you should do a talk on this one, or maybe Leo can do a talk on this one.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to go to EmberConf next year. Maybe we should, instead of like buying him a ticket, maybe we should submit a proposal.
Yeah, that's how you do it in a bootstrapped company. Well, I guess you have some funding, but yes.
But we don't have a lot of money to spare. That's still true.
No, and I also think, like what we talked about conferences before, like if he wants to go to Ember.js to get to know and become a part of the community more, then being a speaker just gives you, it's like a cheat code.
Right. Yeah.
So
I'll talk to him about that.
Well.
Maybe he listens to this episode. I don't actually know. Yeah. But
Leo, be a speaker. We promise it's so much more fun than being an attendee. Also more stressful, but
but also more fun.
Yes. Yeah, and you just get that network, and it's just totally different than just being an attendee.
Yes, agreed. It's fun.
Cool.
Talking about fun, my last update, and then we talk about your stuff. I've been occupying like most of this episode already.
It's fine. I am cold and sore, and I don't want to do anything.
Okay, fair enough. Like, while talking about fun, Michael Koper of Nusi recently challenged me to set up my drum kit again. Like, I used to play the drums when I was a kid, and then, well, literally, we talked about this earlier. 30 years ago, or even more than 30 years ago, I had some drum lessons when I was 6 or 7. And had drum lessons for a couple of years, then kind of lost interest until a couple of years later, set up a drum kit again, lost interest. And basically, since we started building user list, I feel like I didn't really set up the drum kit as well. And recently he started drumming, so he challenged me to set it up. And we're doing like a 30-day course on Drumeo, which is like online drum lesson stuff. And we're doing this 30-day course and started last Monday. And it's so much fun. Like, for one, getting back to drumming is fun. And also that course we're doing, it's just the right amount of challenging, but not too challenging to be overwhelmed by it. So every day, like,
Good.
we start you start looking at the lesson of the day and you're like, what's going on? How am I supposed to ever be able to play this? And then sure, the course is built in a way where you should in theory be able to do it after 10 minutes if you're good. For me it's like more an hour or so, but at the end of that hour I can do it and it feels really good. So
Cool.
that's a lot of fun. And it's also funny how our brains work, because some days I can barely do it by the end of the session. And then the next day you come back at it and you just do it. Like, it
Yeah.
just works. You kind of
Yep.
memorize it overnight. It's so fun.
I think, yeah, I don't know. It's the same when we went back, because we were at this horse camp that I was on this weekend with Lillian, the pirate princess, my daughter, in April. So I was there in February, fell off, and then we were both there in April.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd been going to a writing school here in Oslo that I wasn't that excited about, and we quit. So when we went in April, she was a little like anxious and nervous, and she wanted somebody to not carry, hold the hold the horse while you're walking around the arena. That like an adult would do that, and we learned very quickly that not the parent should do that. Like another parent should. We would like swap kids, makes it much easier. And she did that, and I felt like she had a lot of fun. She loved being there. But then when we came back now, and she hasn't had any like riding since. Like we've visited a horse like once. And she just marched in there and she was like, I know how to do this. And just got on the horse, started trotting. And then they even galloped then with somebody holding. But she was just like, this is fine. Like, I'm not scared. I'm not nervous. And she didn't leave kind of like that. So something, like you said, something has just happened, like time, maturity, or just brains being weird.
Yeah, it's so amazing to watch. And even we do this at least twice a week. We jump,
right?
Skill maybe as well, yeah. But we
No, but I
jump
mean,
on
like
the
her
call.
skill had also
Yes,
improved, even though she
skill
hadn't done
improves. Yeah,
anything. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is we're doing calls twice a week where like basically do the lesson together and then talk about it a little bit, and just like trying the lesson and then doing like talking about stuff for 20 minutes and then going back. Like, even those 20 minutes, for some reason, I'm a lot better 20 minutes, like after doing nothing for 20 minutes. I don't know, like your brain just in the background, I don't know, memorizes the motions or whatever. And suddenly when you get back into it, it feels like natural. Where previously we're struggling. That's just fun to watch. It's amazing. Yeah.
The power of rest.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is also why we shouldn't force ourselves to code through. Just keep on coding. Like, sometimes that's the right thing to do, and sometimes you just need to go for a walk.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, with the drumming stuff right now, definitely notice if I struggle, try to get it right at least a little bit, and then take a break, come back later, and suddenly it works.
Well, that's really cool. I'm happy you're getting back into fun stuff.
It feels like getting back into a hobby again. I didn't really have anything until just recently. Yeah.
I feel like this is a general theme amongst the people I know online, maybe also in my personal life. I'm not sure, but mostly the people online, they're like in their early 40s. It's like suddenly you're like picking back up, like, I don't know how old. I never remember how old you are, but you start like looking, huh? No,
Me neither.
looking back and what you enjoyed doing when you were younger, and like picking up some hobbies like I done with horseback riding, and I guess now ballet, which I never did. That is just like a new thing. completely new thing. And on Thursday, I'm bringing my little sister to an extra lesson. She's coming to visit, and she danced for like 10 years, like hardcore, like danced a lot. So I'm gonna be like jumping around like a, I don't know, like a buffalo, and she's gonna be gracious um and all of that. But we can do it together anyway. Because with
That would be
ballet,
fun.
especially, you do like these same exercises that even like professionals do to warm up and like keep their skill, I guess. So I think she'll enjoy it, even though it's not like, even though she's not a beginner, she can just do it better than the rest of us. So
Yeah,
anyhow,
nice.
but
And
she hasn't danced
you
either
can
for
show
like
off
years.
your like your cool sister, right?
Yes, I can. I'll be like, look at my sister. She knows how to do this. I don't think she's done it in 15 years either, because I mean, she's reached her 30s and haven't done her, you know, childhood hobbies in a while either. But
Yeah.
I think there's some like skill that's gonna still shine through
I
that the
don't
rest of us
think you
don't have.
unlearn the stuff. Yes.
But other than that, so work wise or like internet wise, I always go to these horse camps for a weekend and wonder what I do online. But yeah, so I wrote in my notes that fall is here, and I've noticed, I thought back that it seems like I do a lot of like the MVPs or like IDs that come to me are in the fall. So I'm wondering if that is like that relaxing summer or like kind of rest mode. And then when I get back into like routine, like I get these ideas. Because I talked about MixPod last week or last time we spoke. This idea I have of creating an app that lets you mix podcast episodes into kind of new podcast feeds, like mixtapes. And that just came to me like 3 weeks ago or something. And now I'm like, I have to code, like I have to code it. If nobody else, like I just need to like at least verify if it's possible. But so we're trying to get some sponsors and do this as a sponsored build. But then I thought back that both POW and Prune Your Follows are also like fall MVPs. And now I really want to go back and look at all the other crazy stuff I've done, if it's all fall stuff. Like, because then I need to plan for an unknown cool project that will come to me in the fall every year. Like, we'll just sell like sponsored project. We don't know what it is. The idea is gonna like it will just surface in end of August. Then Benedicte will have like some idea of what she wants to make. But that's kind of interesting to just see. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but it was a observation of my how my brain works, I guess.
Isn't there this concept of that rest helps with creativity in general? Like
Oh,
you can only
absolutely.
be creative if you're well rested and probably even have like some are a little bit bored, I guess. I guess that helps with like creativity. Maybe it's a little bit of
Yeah,
that.
I think absolutely that, because it's so nice being at the cabin for an extended period of time and I work a lot less, but it's also very much kind of the same. So it's beautiful location, beautiful sunsets, but it's also not like stressful in the terms of a lot of new input, because it's somewhere I've been for a long time. So I just like really, I feel like my pulse is just like settling when I'm there. And then you kind of go out of that and you start up the routine of getting back to school. And like we've done that for a couple of weeks. And then we're into that. Like that is moving along like smoothly. And then boom, I'm like, yes, I want to make. Now I know what I want to make. So there's definitely something there. And I'll have to go back and look at all the other weird projects I've started to see when they when they've shown up. I do think I have some notes or some initial commits that I could look at. It could be fun. Um, and then more specifically, yes, that was Queen Ray. We're working on this MixPod ID. So the idea now is to do it in all the frameworks at the
What?
same time. So depending on if we get sponsors or not, like if we get enough sponsors, then the idea would be to slowly and steadily build it like a tiny feature at a time, and then build it in parallel in several frameworks to kind of showcase the similarities. Or like I want to showcase the web. Like it's all in the end, we're in a browser, we're on the web, and a lot of these like Twitter feuds are just like syntactic sugar annoying wars.
Are you
Also,
going to do it in TypeScript though?
don't even get me started. but and I think so, and I also need to learn more of these frameworks at least surface level for Outseta support, because we're getting a lot more Next support requests, and I don't really want to learn Next, but if I can learn it in this context, and it's like part of something a little bit bigger, so then we could do Next, Gatsby, which I do know, Astro, and then maybe 11T or one of these like much, but all JavaScript though. I'm not learning a new language right now. So we're doing those maybe if we can get enough sponsors to have the time. But I think it could be a really cool. I've been talking to some people. I've been replying to the Queen emails, and I think 2 or 3 at least were like, well, at this point, I want to learn about the similarities and differences between the framework, because a lot of people have learned one as a way to learn how to code web applications. But then they're also seeing like, okay, there are some like fundamental pieces of the web that they all build on, and knowing which ones are the framework and which ones are the web. Yes, so I was also thinking about doing one in vanilla JS. So just like
nice,
old school. Maybe I should do jQuery.
Maybe, yeah. Just like,
it's still one of the most used
true, and there's been a
like
new
libraries.
release just recently.
Yeah,
there's a new version.
What was your question?
Wouldn't that idea require some sort of server-side component though?
Yes. So there will be some server side as well, but that will also be in JavaScript. So if you're using Next or Astro or Gatsby, they have their own kind of serverless function situation.
Okay. Yeah.
But then for, I guess, vanilla JS and also 11T, I would imagine would need to use some kind of serverless backend or just spin up our own node server. Yeah. But the cool thing here is that for the sponsors, they would then kind of, I would be able to showcase how to use like a certain CMS with all of the technologies, like side by side. And that could be interesting. Or like the database, show it side by side. Yeah. So we're looking to get a CMS sponsor, a database sponsor, error logging, and image, some kind of image thing. And then I would love to have Cloudinary, which we worked with before, because they have this like AI audio feature where you can give them an AI audio file and it will like give you interesting snippets. So then we could make like a preview of the whole feed with like 30 seconds from each episode or something. Don't talk to me about copyright right now, but I
won't.
I think so. Yeah. So kind of some kind of tool like that could also be interesting. I mean, we could use OpenAI under the hood as well, but yeah. So we're out there talking to people and like trying to write up some sort of sales pitch / proposal, and we'll see how it goes. Because it's going to be time consuming, so we'll need a lot of sponsors. We need sponsors that are willing to pay.
That and if sounds not, I'll just very time consuming, to be honest.
Yes. So, but also with MixPod, like I feel like doing all my sides project, I feel like it can, like the scope can be managed. Like if we don't get an image, or like if Cloudinary doesn't want to join us, then we don't have to do that audio snippet preview thing. You know, and if we don't get an error logging sponsor, like we'll just skip error logging for this time, or like just do it like, you know, not on stream, or like don't spend so much time on it. So I think it's like, and then if we get a few, we'll just do maybe 2 frameworks instead of 5. You know, it's we can size this in many different ways. So we'll see. And if not, maybe we'll do it in the spring. Even though the idea is now I'll probably make an MVP this fall anyway. I just won't tell anyone, and then redo it in the spring.
Sounds like a good idea, yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I'm so frustrated. I want to code it. I just I don't have the time. I just
yes.
I need to get paid. But yes. So I am working on that, and then for Outseta, we're working on that component. Hopefully get that done soon, because then I'll have to go into more documentation mode and doing better documentation around using Outseta for the more code heavy users, the ones that have a backend themselves or authentication system themselves, and like showcasing how those integration can work. Some of them are fairly simple, like some paths are fairly easy. They just need to be documented. I managed to trade or resign. I managed to get an Outseta token and decode it and verify it, and then re-sign it with a Superbase token. No, a Superbase key, so that you can actually then use row level security and all those nice things in Superbase. And it's not like when you first figure out the steps, it's not a lot of code, and it's fairly straightforward, but it's something that needs to be documented and not something we can expect everyone to just figure out on their own. And then also for Outseta, we're working on these like fake businesses. So for this case, for instance, it would be fun to make our family factors, which is a family to do app. We could do that in Outseta and Superbase, and maybe then Next or something if I have to learn Next. Reluctantly learning Next. So yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, and we were talking a little bit before we turn on recording, because we were sitting here in this recording system with all the new features and how they're kind of just jammed into the product, and we love all the new features, but it seems like they've been like pushing features and doing more. Like first you can only live stream, but now you can do recordings and you can do webinars, and this is StreamYard we're using. Highly recommend. And I was saying, yeah, similarly to Outseta, they've been adding features and adding features and adding features. And now we're seeing that, some things maybe are not where they should be. And then you were like, yes, same thing with user list.
Yeah.
And we're pulling one part out now, which is kind of like a brand center, because we have, you can do email forms, like sign up forms and lead capture forms and sign in, login, and profile embeds that we have. And you design them in different places. So we're pulling that into like a brand center where you can set up brand and styling for all of your kind of Outseta styled stuff. But then we're removing it from this place. Everybody that is already using us is expecting it, so we'll need to have some sort of like link, to the brand center. And what you were saying, that maybe depending on the situation, sometimes it's not worth all the development hours to like move features around and like doing that cleanup. And I've noticed as I'm getting older that sometimes if I've learned where something is, like you can maybe you can like fix that and make it better, and I am annoyed. Like my gray hair do not like you improving your interface if I have finally learned the interface. So it's not only kind of the time spent for user list or Outseta, it's also the users who are used to maybe something bad or like not as good.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're used to it and know where it is, and suddenly it's in a different place where it makes a lot more sense, but yeah, you have to relearn it, which is annoying, I guess. Yeah.
And I feel especially for like someone who would consider themselves more of a power user, like they've spent time kind of learning all the
they pride
weirdness.
themselves in knowing this weird setting 3 levels
weird
below
settings
the
in your tool. Yeah. And they're like, and then suddenly you make it easier, and like all that time they've spent really digging in is for nothing. But yeah, and I feel like these are issues that you'll only you have to have been around for a while to get to have these kind of problems.
Yeah, true.
And it's easy starting out being like, well, my new tool is gotta be perfect.
For sure. I had a similar thought sometime this week where previously, before running Userlist, I was looking at other tools, and sometimes you notice like, I don't know, like this is kind of awkward. It would be so much better if they did it like this or that or whatever. And now, with situations flipped, I sometimes see parts of the application where I'm like, yeah, we should probably improve this. But then I look at my to-do list of other stuff like that we need to tackle. And usually there's a lot of more stuff that's way more important. And yes, it's not perfect and it's not super nice and super clean and whatever, but it somewhat works. And there's a million other things we should rather be focusing on. So I have a new appreciation for like small kinks and weirdnesses like that because, yeah, sometimes it's just good enough and you have to tackle the more important stuff.
Do you feel like you have more empathy when you're using other people's tools as well?
Yes and no. Like for small annoyances like that, yes, probably I have more empathy. But like stuff that's just inconsistent across the board or that feels like a bigger problem, I get more annoyed, I feel like. Because I'm like, we spent so much time on this to get this right. Why can't you just take a little bit of care and just fix this, right? So, especially if it's been stuff that we have dealt with in the past because it was as bad or we could
Yeah,
have
where you
built it
took the
as good.
time and like this tool is not taking the time to do it.
Yeah, like
Therefore,
why didn't you take the time to build this properly?
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. I usually get very annoyed. It should be where I expect it to be.
Yes, of course.
But I try to but I've always been friendly in like support requests. Like there
Yes.
I've always feel like I've had empathy. If it hasn't been if it's not like a large corporation who's like losing my data or like something
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
shouldn't do. Um but yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting to see. It will be fun to see. I mean, it's only under the brand center or the brand settings or whatever we're going to call it, still in the design phase, but it looks very nice in James's sketches. Like I would love to see that roll out. And it's also in regards to getting a lot of support requests on that. And like, so it's not just like, oh, that would be nice, like, or that's how it should
Yeah.
be. It's like, well, this might, we can then hopefully we'll get less of those requests.
For sure. Yeah.
And then
Sometimes,
that will free up time.
yeah, like if there's something that comes up in customer support a lot, then it's definitely worth spending the time on it and improving it because ultimately that's also time you have to spend by just helping and answering the same question over and over and over and over again. Sometimes it's easier to just fix it, right?
But if like nobody has complained that something is in the wrong, like a button is in the wrong location, then or
It's
like
probably
I
not a
don't know,
problem. Yeah.
it's not a big problem. Like they learn and they're fine. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'm gonna go and get the fire going on my fireplace, which I now have to remember to do every morning because I didn't today. And by 3 o'clock, I was in icicle. And then we were going to record. So I'm still in icicle and I'm going to go melt.
Nice. Yeah. For those listening, you missed out on Benedicte wrapped in a blanket for the entire recording.
It's not just a blanket, it's my duvet.
Oh. It looks
Flowery
very,
duvet.
very flowery and colorful. So
Yes.
that's nice.
Always. Always. See you around
Well,
the interwebs.
then, yes, see you around. And one more
Oh,
thing. I won't be around for the next recording because I will be at MicroConf.
I think you should do microconf podcast.
Not sure. I appreciate the thought, but I tried that in the past, and it's always a little bit awkward and you have to squeeze it in because you're so occupied with other stuff. But yeah, maybe I
need to find a sub.
Or you find a sub, yes.
We'll see. Okay.
Maybe you bring on Jane, because unfortunately she's not coming to MicroCon, so she's got some free time.
Oh no. Well, enjoy. I'm a little jealous.
Thank you. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. You will be there next year? Promise?
I don't know. Hopefully. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay, fair enough. If any of you listeners are at the conference, please come over and say hi. He's
not as scary as he looks.
Yes, I'm not as scary as I look, and I've got new Better Done Imperfect stickers. I should have the Slow and Steady stickers somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure where I put them. So if I'm able to still find them, I'll bring them. Otherwise, they will just be Better Done Imperfect stickers.
Oh no, because there was a glitter sticker sale from Sticker Mule that
there was a sale.
There was a sale until last night, or like 2 days ago. You could have gotten Slow and Steady glitter stickers.
I got these, the Better Done Imperfect glittery stickers.
Oh, but you didn't get them on the sale?
No, I ordered them 2 weeks ago. There wasn't a sale back then.
Too bad. I just got it. Too bad. We're never going to end this episode if we keep talking like this.
No, probably not.
So,
anyways.
You can edit out large parts of this ending, and then we can do it.
Just keep it. It's fine. Well...